Cool guys, so welcome back to another video. Today it is all about Game of Thrones. I got a lot to say about Season 8. I'm going to be specifically talking about Season 8, but I will probably be mentioning stuff that happened in previous seasons as well. So obviously there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this video. So just right off the bat, I am not a massive Game of Thrones fan. And when I say that, I love it and I think it's been an incredible series, but I'm not like a die-hard Game of Thrones fan. Like, I'm not as obsessed with it as I am with like Marvel or Star Wars or stuff like that. So I would say I'm more than a casual fan, but I'm not like a super obsessed Game of Thrones fan. So I've been watching Game of Thrones quite slowly. I normally will watch like 2 seasons at once sort of thing. So before season 8, I kind of just quickly binge watched season 7 and half of season 6 as well to try to catch up for the finale of season 8, which was this last week Monday or Sunday for the overseas people. And yeah, like it was interesting. Season 8 was interesting. I caught up with season 8 within a couple of days, so I watched like 2 episodes a day, and then I watched the finale live. So I watched all of it all at once. I didn't watch it from week to week to week. I kind of just watched all of season 8 and all of season 7 actually as well, like back to back. So it was very interesting seeing the progression from the beginning of season 7 to the end of season 8. So having watched it back to back, and I know a lot of the hardcore Game of Thrones fans will probably agree with me on saying this, everything felt extremely rushed. Even in season 7, although it wasn't as rushed in season 7, I feel season 8 was rushed, and there's a lot of stuff that happens. A lot of the characters feel like they've developed like a lot, or like they've taken or made certain decisions and it doesn't really make sense. Like, you can kind of see hints of that before they make those decisions, but when they have made those decisions you kind of feel like that was forced or rushed, or it doesn't really make sense in the current narrative of the story. My theory for this is simply that they try to cram way too much in these last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones to try to conclude the story. It also doesn't help that George R.R. Martin has not finished the book series A Song of Ice and Fire. That's what Game of Thrones is based off, the TV show. So it doesn't help that he hasn't finished that book series yet. And I'm sure the writers of Game of Thrones there were definitely conversations being had on how he was going to be finishing his book series, so the show could at least finish in a similar way to how the books would end eventually. But the fact of the matter is the books aren't done yet, so obviously even if they kind of got a bit of a direction of how the show should end, the books would obviously have a lot more sort of information that they could have used to conclude their story. So I can imagine the writing of the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones being extremely difficult, just because they were kind of doing it as they went along. Also, I haven't really done my research on this, but I'm very confused why they didn't just make Game of Thrones 10 seasons from the beginning. It's a sort of perfect number for a good TV show, in my opinion, and I think with the extra 2 seasons, they could have really concluded the story extremely well. Before I continue sharing my thoughts on Game of Thrones Season 8, I'm going to share some of your guys' thoughts. You guys replied to me on Instagram. If you guys aren't following me there yet, follow me at happychappy. No, it's at happy_chappy. Yeah, follow me there, and then yeah, if you want to be a part of these videos, it's a very easy way to be a part of them. Cool, so these are the responses from you guys. It was sick, bruh. What's got? It's Game of Thrones, obviously. Don't be stupid. Like passing out before crossing the finish line. That's pretty accurate. Everybody got what they wanted, except the Dragon Lady and the audience. I like that one. A rushed and badly written road to a good end. I'm actually happy with where the characters ended up. Okay? Incredibly disappointing. They say it's rushed, but it took 2 years. You just need to accept an ending you didn't expect, peeps. Okay, fair enough. Produced really great memes. That's true, there's some quality memes. I actually might have to do a Game of Thrones meme video. Comment down below if you want that. Writers got lazy, used scapegoats, and used last minute fixes for problems that needed more. Okay? I can agree with that. Really good way to end the series. Not a fan of how they killed off the... I couldn't get the end of that. It's too long of a response. My apologies. I was ultimately incredibly disappointed. I felt the writers betrayed many of the characters. And then finally, I'm okay with the ending. I just feel like the journey could have used more well thought out story writing. Cool. a lot of those responses are fair, and I understand that. Especially because most of the people who replied to this, I feel like, are really hardcore Game of Thrones fans. And they've been on this journey for like 10 years with these characters. I've kind of been there, like, in and out, you know. I've kind of been like, oh, how's it? Been there a little bit, then I cruise back, then I come back, how's it? Then I go back, you know. Like, I haven't been there the whole way, as much as some people have. So I can understand some of the issues people have with the show. So I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm just going to share like some closing thoughts on season 8. I didn't hate the way the show ended at all. I didn't hate it, and I was pretty satisfied. I thought they did a reasonably good job of tying up all the loose ends and sort of concluding each of the characters' storylines. I just wasn't happy with the way some of the characters went. I didn't like how quickly Jaime sort of bailed out and went back to Cersei, and I didn't like how they died, obviously. I didn't like how Daenerys completely switches and becomes like this mad evil queen. I didn't feel like we got enough development or enough build up to that. The Jon Snow and Daenerys scene where he has to kill her, which could have been like the most powerful moment of the whole show. I felt like that was very, very rushed, and then we kind of were stuck with the more political stuff towards the end of that last episode. I was like, why didn't they spend more time on Jon and Daenerys? Like, why didn't they, because there's obviously a lot of feelings there was a lot of like emotion there, and I kind of felt like we brushed over that very quickly just to get to like the conclusion of the show. I didn't mind that Arya killed the Night King. I thought that was kind of being built up in the show, and I kind of liked that she killed them actually, because I think she has been dealing with death throughout the series, and her confronting the Night King was like a very literal portrayal of her confronting death, I thought. I didn't really like how the Night King got to Bran in that point in the episode, but I didn't mind that Arya killed him. But I was saying to one of my friends the other day, I was saying like, would have been super rad if like the Night King was a bit more like Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One, where he's kind of just plowing through this army, all these soldiers trying to get to Bran, and some of the heroes are sort of trying to confront him as he tries to get there. And obviously some of them don't die, some of them maybe do die, but I thought it would have been really, really amazing just to see how powerful he was, just by plowing through these soldiers, just trying to get to Bran. I felt like once he was in the Winterfell like castle or whatever, or the fortress, like he got to Bran extremely quickly. I would have liked to have seen the Night King do a bit more in that episode, I think. Although like the dragon stuff and that was all cool, him raising up the new like dead army while Jon Snow's trying to run to him, I thought that was all incredible. It was cool that they paid off Daenerys' vision a bit. There were some very, very reminiscent shots when she is in the throne room at King's Landing, once it has been all burnt down. There's some really, really cool reminiscent shots of her previous vision that she had, so I really liked how they paid that off. I like how at the end of the show Arya decides to go west, like off the map. She says in the show, like previously, she's going to go west of Westeros. Did I say it? I think it's how you say it. But I liked how they paid that off. It was a nice ending to her character, I feel. Sansa, I thought, deserved the throne, so I like that she did get a position of power at the end of the show. I did not see the reason why Bran became the new king. I did not see that coming, to be honest, and also I don't think it was the right choice. Maybe he does more in the books to deserve that role as king. I just didn't understand it in the context of the show at all. I thought it was a very weak decision, personally. I was also a little bit confused why Jon Snow was arrested for the murder of Daenerys. Like, Drogon took her body away. Like, how would they have known unless he physically confessed that he had murdered her? Like, obviously there would have been blood there, and the throne was burnt because Drogon destroyed the throne, which I actually thought was really, really cool. But like, how would they just have assumed that Jon Snow had killed her? Like, I would have kind of, in that situation, assumed that it might have been Tyrion. I don't know, it just didn't make much sense to me. Drogon burning the throne I thought was super cool. It was like super symbolic that that sort of symbol, that sort of position had to be abolished. Like, it was the reason for so much death in the show, so I really did see the symbolism of why it had to be destroyed, and I really liked that it was destroyed. I didn't love how Jon went back to the Night's Watch at the end. I thought it was just a really sort of weak ending to his character. It wasn't very heroic. I think the show was really trying to build up to like this very heroic moment with him And I guess he does kind of lead the wildlings at the end of the show, but I don't know, I was expecting more from his character, and he was like probably my favorite character in the show, so seeing his conclusion wasn't that satisfying. But look guys, like, I know I'm complaining a lot about, or I'm nitpicking a lot about stuff. This show has done stuff that most TV shows can only dream of. It has raised the bar like crazy. Game of Thrones has been some of the most incredible television, hands down, over the last like 10 years. Definitely, like, it's up there as one of the greatest shows in my opinion. I mean, maybe this last season did have a bit of a bumpy road, but I still don't think it was terrible at all. I really don't think it was. And I think most of the characters got a pretty good conclusion. There were a few that I thought didn't, but I think ultimately the show did do an incredible job on telling the story that George R.R. Martin has written about, and it was a really entertaining and good show with really good characters, really well cast characters as well. As I said at the beginning, I think the show could have definitely benefited from having 1 or 2 more seasons. I think it would have been like absolutely perfect, but I still think it was really incredible. I'm very curious to see how the books end up like turning out. Like I know George R.R. Martin has stated that he's not going to be changing the ending at all, regardless of how the show does. But I'm very curious to see how similar the show actually ends up being to the books. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of Game of Thrones as a whole, and maybe let me know what you thought of season 8 as well, just on its own. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And remember to smash that bell icon to be notified every single time I post a video, and to subscribe. I'd really appreciate those subscribers, and then also like this video. If you're watching this on Facebook, then head over to my YouTube channel after this please and subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. But thank you for watching this. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time, and bye bye. Execute Order 66. So cringy. I'm sorry. I know it's cringy.